I got a super awesome lesson for you today. Today we are checking out the technique about how to play guitar, specifically just with your fingers. No flat pick needed for this lesson. This is probably one of the most frequently asked questions I get about how I play guitar just with my fingers and not actually having to use a pick, but yet still being able to play chords and single note lines. So we're going to zoom in on the neck and break this concept on down. Alright, but before we do that, I want to talk about a company that I'm super excited about partnering with. I've partnered with a company called the Love Braclet. The Love Braclet is basically this company that sells products where the funds for those purchases go towards helping individuals and couples that are victims of domestic violence and domestic abuse. This is a super awesome company that I'm really excited that I've been working with. Definitely check out all of the links down in the description. I have a discount code down there if you are interested in purchasing some of these bracelets. But enough of that, let's zoom in and break this concept right on down. Alright, so one of the biggest things about applying this approach with playing with your fingers is just kind of getting the basic idea about it. So I want to apply this into chordal sense, and then we'll start talking about it in a single note rhythm type thing, or whenever you're playing like lead lines or single note rhythms. There's two different kind of approaches that I use quite frequently, and that is the alternation between my I and M finger whenever I'm doing like a scale passage. So basically what essentially that is this alternation between your first and second finger. Now this can become a challenge if you're trying to do faster passages. So that's where I would use a lot of legato, where I do a lot of like pull-offs and hammer-ons. But the alternate version of using our fingers is where we actually use our first finger as a pick. So yes, I'm still not using a pick, but I'm acting my first finger as if I did have a pick. So what this kind of technique is as you can see, I have these longer fingernails, and these are super helpful with playing fingerstyle guitar. And what I kind of do is I grow this nail out, and if you can kind of see, if it'll focus here, let me get this to focus, you can kind of see that I have it rounded in a fashion where I can use it, where the attack on the string acts as a pick. So I should note the intro that I played for this, which if you don't know that song, you should definitely try to look it up and figure it out. And I'm curious as to see who knows who that song is by and what the song is. So the little intro that I played there, you should definitely figure out that. So if you know that song, drop it down in the comments. I'm curious to see what my audience knows about that. It's a jazz standard. Anyway, so I have my finger kind of rotated like that and kind of shaped like that, so that way I can do these single note lines, so no pick, but with my first finger. So don't necessarily worry about what I'm playing. We'll get into that in a little bit here, but as you can see, again, I have those shaped in such a fashion that I can actually play it as a pick. So I'm just going to play a C major scale. So I'm actually doing it as if I have a pick, so I go down, up, down, up, down, up. So I'm alternating those strokes as well. Now here would be if I would alternate the first two fingers. Basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a combination of free strokes and rest strokes. So free strokes is where you're actually not actually landing on the adjacent string. A rest stroke is when you pull into the next string and you land on that string. So check out, this would be with rest strokes. And the benefit of rest strokes is the fact that you can get a louder cut through. If I'm doing free strokes, the tone may be not as loud or bright in dynamics. But this is just the benefit of playing with your fingers, is you can really get different types of tonal qualities, whether I'm playing it with my fingernail or you can really experiment with the tone that you're getting. Now just listen to the difference in the scale here. Same exact notes. A little more brightness down here. Right? And it's this idea of using your fingers. So again, that technique really is to have longer kind of fingernails like this and using it as a pick. Because this is really helpful, especially one thing that you can't really do with fingers other than like a typical tremolo, like this type of tremolo, is being able to do single note lines. So here's a C major scale with tremolo. That's something that you can't do with just one finger. I mean, that'd be really, really hard to do. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but the clarity in the note is not as good. So that's kind of the approach behind single note lines, is really getting this alternation between your I and M and kind of just growing out your first fingernail long enough where you can use it as a pick. And this is super, super cool because how often do you know, somebody throws a guitar at you or whatever and they're like, oh, we gotta have you throw a guitar track down or whatever, and you don't have a pick. Well, you don't have to worry about having a pick. I think a pick is actually super, super limiting because, and sometimes in music you might be doing an arpeggio type thing. And then you might be doing single note line things. If I have a pick, I can't do this with a pick. I can't do this with a guitar pick. Everything that you can do with a guitar pick, you can do twice as better with just your regular fingers. In fact, the guitar pick is actually a relatively new concept. Back in the old times, classical guitar, they didn't actually use picks. Everything was just played with your fingers. So this is probably going to be the most practical application of playing guitar without a pick, is being able to strum chords on any single type of chord progression. It really doesn't matter what the chord progression is, but let's just arbitrarily take like a blues and A. And there's a couple different things that we can think about. We can think about just using our thumb. There's a lot of guys that come from this thumb technique school where, you know, you're just strumming with your thumb. Fan of that because I don't like the tone that I get out of my thumb. For sometimes it can sound cool if you're just trying to go for maybe just a roll. I can see that, but I'm not very good with doing upstrokes. So the technique that I use is I actually basically take like my first three fingers and I almost like act as if I glue them together like this, or I have like a piece of tape, and I put my thumb over top of that like this, and I actually let my fingernails brush the strings with the tops of those nails. And when I'm doing the upstroke, I slide my fingers up. This is why it's nice to have those fingers rounded on a bevel, so that when I'm doing the upstroke, they just glide right through. So it's a really, really simple technique in terms of being able to play without having to use a pick. And I like the tone that I get way more than I do with the thumb. So here's a blues with just that kind of idea. Different cool things that you can do. This is a big technique trademark of mine, is doing this like flamenco rasgueado type thing, and I do this all the time. If you haven't seen my rasgueado technique, I'll have that link down in the description. You should definitely check that out, but it's just another element of being able to play with your fingers. But anyway, again, so I'm just kind of strumming along and using those fingers like that. another super awesome technique trademark of mine is doing this finger roll kind of thing where I brush the strings like that with just my first finger, like a fan. I do these kind of things all the different times, and I really enjoy it because there's just so many other possibilities that you can do with your fingers that you just can't do with a pick. So one of the things that I do to practice this technique all the time is to actually play my major scales with my first finger, and it doesn't matter, you can do it in 2 or 3 octaves, and just practice them up and down the neck with your alternate picking with your fingernail. And practice it really slow. Practice it with alternating your I and M finger. You can see I make mistakes, but that's okay. Just take it really slow and go for accuracy. Alright, Hatt Clan fam, that was the video. I hope you really liked it. Let me know what other technique videos that you'd like to see. And if this is the first time you've come across my channel, definitely consider subscribing and checking out all the other content on the channel as well. And if you know somebody that would really benefit from a lesson like this, feel free to send it their way. I'm really trying to build up the channel and continue to grow and help other people reach their musical goals and their musical journey. Alright, enough of that said. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.